Hi. Hello, hello, hello. Hola. Hey, y'all. Okay, happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Becky Brown Girl Show. I'm your host, Becky Brown Girl, and tonight we're talking about spinning a block. I actually wanted to talk about this last week, but I was hoping to get somebody to come on with me who's actually done it and successfully. I actually had a few people DM me asking me what successfully meant. I think they thought it meant in the context of, getting their ex to give them some again. That's not what I meant. I meant like you had a relationship with somebody, of some varying length, right? And but you had history with the person and it didn't work the first time around, but you revisited the situation in the future and you were able to make it work, right? So Nelly and Ashanti are our most famous model of a situation that worked the second time around. I mean, hopefully it will continue to work. They dated for a decade in the early 2000s and, they found love again last year and now she's pregnant and they're getting married and it's a beautiful fairy tale ending to this love story, right? So, but in the real world, right? Not in celebrity world, is it possible to have that type of success with, in your like everyday run of the mill relationships? Or do you prefer to keep your exes where you left them, where they had you messed up, right? So my take on it, again, I never profess to be a relationship expert. It's just a topic that, seems to be of interest to people, at least relationships, right? But that it's possible. Like anything is possible, right? I think it depends on the reason that you may. Y'all don't like to read, do you? We're talking about spinning the block. Why? See, you made me lose my train of thought. Why? Sometimes you're able to do it if you're willing to put, if you're willing to put aside whatever may have happened in the past and have a fresh start, right? If you're willing to acknowledge your faults and apologize and be remorseful. I don't talk about my personal situations here. I'm talking about in general, right? Oh, before I was talking about Nelly and Ashanti as like a model of spinning the block successfully, right? Now, obviously, we don't know the intimate details of their relationship. We only know what we see on social media. That's why even though relationships can appear to be a certain thing in public, I shy away from calling somebody a relationship goal because you don't know what goes on in those relationships behind closed doors, right? So having said that, like I said, I think it depends. I think it depends on whether the people involved put in work to identify whatever the issue was in the past and addressed it and, or made whatever changes were necessary to make it successful a second time around. I mean, I've had a couple of, long-term love relationships in my life, right? I don't think you can ever say that you would never do something. Well, when it comes to matters of the heart, right? There's certain things that you probably want to stay away from doing if you tried them once and they were bad, right? But yeah, I think it's possible. Yeah, I mean, your ex is your ex for a reason, sure. But people grow, people evolve, they change. You know, also it's hard out here, right? I feel like people think that people are disposable in this day and age. Like there's always, thank you, Miss Real Estate. I think that I think they feel like there's always another better option. The grass is greener, right? But there's also a saying that says the grass is greener where you water it, right? And I don't think people necessarily have the patience nowadays, unless they've already been in something that's long-term and established, to put the time, the effort, and the energy into the situation that they have. So Legend is Elder says, question is, are you willing to gamble on that second chance? What do you need to see to do so? I definitely don't go by just words. I've learned the hard way that people say and won't say and do. They'll say anything to try to convince you that something is different, and then, do the same old thing over and over again. I probably have done that myself. So it's not fair for me to just put it on somebody else. But for sure, I don't just, especially in a situation like that where you've dealt with them in the past. If I see the same old patterns of behavior, nah. I've been misled before and convinced to, reconsider a situation. And these were not situations like, well, I'm not going to get into too many specifics, but, if it's somebody that I don't really have history with, I haven't talked to them long, or even if I talked to them for a little bit, but it never became another level of a relationship, then I'm not going to take it seriously, more than likely. And I would be more inclined to move on than, to keep spinning my wheels. But it's, again, it's hard out here for a pimp, so it could be either. So Miss Real Estate says, is this spin the block in terms of relationship or just dating? I was thinking more in terms of like a relationship that you had in the past, because again, to me, when somebody approaches me saying they want something and then they show me something different, I'm not going to keep giving you chances to show me that you're full of shit. Like, I've done that before as well, but I mean, and you only get those special, they've only gotten those special considerations because they were finer than average, right? But no, now that I'm grown, I don't fall for the okie doke like that anymore. Okay, so hold on. Hope dealer. Let me see something. Okay, is that the hopeless romantic and you that decided to give it a try? I don't think I'm a hopeless romantic anymore. Like, I definitely love and romance and all that, but experience has taught me, again, to not go by the things that people say, but watch their actions. And if they align, that's different. But if they just talk and don't do, then I'm not trying to hear that. You know what I mean? So 19 Pearl Poupon says, spinning block is cool as long as the issues that led to breakup have been reconciled. Right. That's what I was saying. I don't think you were on when I first said that. I agree. Sounds like a romantic to me. Well, what's wrong with romance? I think people are too hard nowadays. Like, y'all got to bring back love and happiness, right? Isn't that what makes the world go round? There's too much anger and hatred and negativity in the world. We need to bring back the love, right? Also, I'm always wary of somebody that speaks down on their ex. Like, you were with that person at one point and cared and loved them, cared for rather, and loved them. So now all of a sudden, they're the worst person in the world. Now I understand if somebody's like abusive or, not to say that's the only bad thing they could do, or, maybe they cheated or whatever, but it takes two in a relationship, right? So Everybody wants to play the victim, but never tell the side of the story of what they did wrong. And, you know, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. That's a red flag to me too, because they could do it to you too. Exactly. That's exactly right. If you talking shit about them, you'll do the same thing to me. Nah, I'm good. Like, you don't have to be with them anymore, right? But you also don't have to disparage them either, because you chose them, right? So what's that saying about your decision-making skills? No. Anyway, all right, so I'm gonna add the hope dealer. I don't know if anyone else has a story they'd like to tell of where it worked successfully, right? I like to keep it more positive. Yeah, all right, so I'll add him. Y'all out here being single anyway. Really, in the dark? You want to turn some light on?
Driving. I'm driving.
Uh,
And you super sassy tonight. I know your name is BeckyBrownGurl, but apparently Becky with the good hair tonight. What's up?
so, okay, so Smoyan Williams says spending time with God helps me to love one another. Okay,
Makes
wonderful.
sense. Makes sense.
Um, yeah, I mean, again, I think that you definitely have to. Um, I think you have to have a forgiving spirit, and they say that like forgiveness is for you, not really the other person, because when you walk around harboring ill will, it's not hurting them; it's hurting you, right?
Right.
Now I'm not saying that forgiveness means you have to forget what somebody did to you, or that necessarily means you have to allow them back into your circle, right? But I know a couple people that like take pride in holding grudges, and I don't understand that. I'm like, okay, like why you just don't deal with the people then if it's like that. Um anyway, what do you think? What do you think about
Um,
spinning the block in general?
in general, I don't think it's an issue. I think that you have to deal with every interaction, every person on the face of that relationship. And so it's hard for me to say, oh, like to set a hard and fast rule, right? And say, well, I never date my exes, or yes, I always, you have to deal with every relationship individually on the face of that relationship, right? I
Agreed.
think when we, not necessarily saying that, you don't have guidelines for how you, navigate your life, and definitely how navigate your friendships, your relationship, your family, your familial relationships, because this also sometimes needs to talk about our familial relationships. Um, but
Well, in this
in
context, I'm talking about like romantic relationships. So, because we're gonna go off on a tangent. So,
yeah, we not
so
we
that's
not
okay.
yeah, I'm not,
We going
but
because I don't feel like
I'm gonna keep.
spinning the block. I don't feel like that term is applicable in that type of
It,
context. But
it that's a whole nother show. It's a
yeah,
whole
so
nother
let's
show. So
yeah,
all right.
so
So I will say this. I think romantically, what you're looking for is, there's two types. We talk about forgiveness. We don't talk enough about reconciliation. So forgiveness, you're right. Forgiveness is on one party. Forgiveness takes nothing from the other party in order for me to open up a space in my heart to be healed from whatever pain or trauma that somebody caused, right?
right,
Reconciliation requires something on the other person's part as well. They have to acknowledge a wrong. They have to behave differently,
yeah,
right?
yep.
And if they do not deem themselves as safe, what ends up happening, people who usually say, well, I don't spin the blocks on exes, is because you reconciled with somebody that you were only supposed to forgive.
Mm, yes,
And they ended up doing the very same thing that they showed you they were going to do in the first place, but they never gave you a indication that they have grown. They never gave you any indication that they changed. You took it as, or maybe, you know what? Maybe they said it, maybe they talked, right? Maybe they talked a good
Um,
game, but they never,
no, you
am I, am I in bad,
you
in
you
my bad
you
reception?
froze. You froze. No, you froze for a second, but I can hear you
Okay.
now. Yep, yep.
They never gave you a true indication that they truly changed. They might have talked a good game, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, we hope for the best in all people, which is not a bad thing,
Uh-huh.
right? However, you have to make sure that that hope, like, is rooted in some truth somewhere.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
why.
fantasy.
That's why. I said like, um, you know, I've been convinced by somebody's words before, that something was going to be different and it wasn't. So now
Right.
I'll like when people tell me stuff, I'm like, okay,
Right.
now
And I
then I
agree
watch
with
what you're
you.
doing. Do
I
the
believe in
action,
love.
do the actions and the words align? Most of the time they do not. So I'm just like, all right, whatever.
Right.
Like
And
I don't
also
really put anything on what they're saying. I base it on the follow up to what they said.
what they're telling
That's it.
you. Yeah. Like what they're telling you through their actions, what
Exactly.
they're telling you through how they walk through the world, right? It's not even just about how they treat you, it's how they treat everybody else. You can fool some of the people some of the time, you can fool some of the people all the time, you can fool all the people some of the time. You can't fool all the people all the time, and eventually that truth is going to come out. Here's the thing. I think, like I said, we want the best in people, and so we end up accepting the hope that we have in our mind about somebody's greatness. Because as human beings, I think, and this is not a bad thing. I think we tend to see the best in people, and that's not a bad thing, right? That's not a bad thing at all. However, when there's no evidence of that thing, and then there's no evidence that that person wants to grow into that potential, you have to trust, you have to believe what that person says,
Yeah,
right?
no, you
And
have to believe what
in
they're
their
showing
actions.
you. You have to.
Exactly. When I say says, I mean in action. How they
Yeah. So
how they're demonstrating, not in words. And here's
yeah.
another thing: we have to have a grown up love, a mature love. And so I think when I talk about that, like love that is not rooted in fairy tales and fantasies, love that is rooted in realness, because relationships ain't easy, bro.
I
Like
know.
the fairy
I know.
tales that we, and I'm not talking to you specifically, but
No,
I'm
I
just
know.
saying people in general. But like I tell people, love is the easiest part. A
Yeah.
relationship is hard work, and it's one of the hardest things. Marriage was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And while I'm no longer, I'm in the process of divorcing and decoupling, I still believe in marriage. I still believe it's one of the most beautiful and transformative things that human beings can do. It is the hardest thing, one of the hardest things that human beings can also do. And I told everybody, I was like, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, and I'm the best version of myself because of it. The
Well,
absolute
that's
best, hands
wonderful.
down.
That's wonderful because that means that, the next person that you, well, first of all, you've experienced it already. So if it's something
Right,
that you desire to do again, then you you have sort of a model of what to expect or what to expect of somebody else, right? What and stating those expectations early, right? Because
right.
I think another thing that we tend to do is assume people know what we want without articulating it
Mm-hmm.
to them.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're not doing those things, then we feel away like what you should be doing. Did you say that's what you wanted? Did you say
Right.
that's what you needed? Open your mouth and speak. And those your needs are probably going to evolve over the course of time that you're with that
Mm-hmm.
person.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But if you're
with that person at any amount of time, yeah.
if you don't articulate that to them and then just
Right.
expect them to kind of, like, we're individuals. So you can't expect them to necessarily move as you move if there's no communication about it. And look,
Absolutely. Not
it's not
only
gonna work.
communicate in a way that it lands for the other person.
Yeah,
So
it
you're like, what are you talking about? I told her that I wanted such and such. How'd you tell her? I texted her. She don't respond to text, bro. Or I sent her this link to this thing and blah 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 blah. Or I sent him this article to blah 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 blah. He's stupid, baby. You gotta tell him straight. He ain't gonna connect the dots like that, bro.
well, I also think, that obviously men and women communicate differently. So
Right.
um
But to your point, I was saying that when we're talking, like, absolutely, that's what we talk about grown up love, right? Grown up love is not like I kissed you on the cheek and rescued you from the castle and now we live happily ever after. We never get the story of what happens to the princess and the prince after the story is over, like how they navigate life. Question: I have a question for you. Do you believe in soulmates? And y'all in the chat also, do y'all believe in soulmates?
uh, did when
And I
I was
guess
younger.
before that,
I did
okay,
when I was younger. Because the thing is, I think there's no absolutes in love. I think that you can love more than one person. I think that and I don't mean even at
you're
different
not
points
talking
in
about
your life.
polyamory.
Wait,
I
you gotta
know.
let me
I
finish.
understand.
I think that you can love more than one person at a time.
Right.
I think that you can. Um, I just don't think there's any absolutes, right? A soulmate sounds good, right?
Mm-hmm.
The type of feeling, the butterflies and the chemistry and all of that feels good, and it seems like, oh my God, this is my person, but it eventually fades.
Right.
So, I think there's people that you're like maybe very compatible with. Like there's certain people that you're very compatible with, and others maybe not as much.
Right.
But I also think that a relationship is effort and requires work, like you said, to make it work. So
Mm-hmm.
people think that just those kind of lusty compatibility feelings are enough to sustain it over time, but you have to put in the effort because that person is going to get on your nerves
Right.
sometimes, and you're going to get on theirs. And sometimes you might not even like the person that you love, right? You're gonna go through those seasons in
Oh,
your
wait.
relationship.
Go back. Go back. Say that again.
I said
Unpack
sometimes you might not
that.
even like the person
Talk
that you
about
love.
that. Talk about that.
Like, I mean, like I said, because people be on it, and it's like everything they do is rubbing you wrong, right?
Right.
You're
Right.
gonna go through those seasons, but it's like, is this person like how invested am I in this situation? I mean, now when
Right.
you're married, you have more of an investment because you're legally bound. I'm not saying that doesn't mean that people break up all the time. It just makes it more complicated when you do. But
Right.
um, but even in like a long-term relationship dating situation, you might not be feeling the person sometimes, and that also is the time when typically people will look elsewhere
Mm-hmm.
because we're always looking for somebody else to fulfill us and to give us happiness, and instead of trying to figure out how to um what's the word I'm looking for, like how to make ourselves happy, we rely on others all the time
Yeah.
to fulfill us, right?
Yeah.
Like we can't be whole and happy unless somebody else is giving us. Now, I'm not saying that you should be with somebody who makes you miserable, but
But you shouldn't depend on that person for your source of happiness.
your soul source, not your
Exactly.
soul source.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree.
They should bring you, you know, some happily and joy
Absolutely.
in your life, but not the only source
Right.
of your happiness.
If they don't do it, you should still be able to have and experience happiness, independent of that person. And I think that so I used to believe in fairy tales. I was a big romantic growing up. Like, you know, I do poetry. Like, how could you not believe in, you know, love and romance and soulmates? I don't believe in soulmates. I believe exactly what you said. I believe that you have people that you are compatible with. I believe that you two decide to come together and you two figure out what is this relationship and how we make life together. And you walk this journey of life with one another. And you have to do it conscientiously. I think people are trying to when they're seeking relationships or seeking partners or even marriages these days, they're trying to move into a turnkey property that's fully furnished,
Yeah.
fully decorated,
Yep.
that's fully painted. Like they want the Instagram, you know, condo, the
Yes.
Instagram penthouse. However, everybody's a fixer up around here. Every single one need a rehab loan, bro. It might be a little more or a little less, but everybody has rehab. And also it goes back to what you were referring to. I call it, so my analogy is the paper castle analogy.
Hmm.
So we as adults have created these certain sets of how we do things, right? Like what is supposed to happen during big and small things. What's supposed to happen during family functions? Where, whose house we go to during Thanksgiving and dinner? Who is supposed to take out the garbage? Who's supposed to eat first? Who's supposed to manage? How we're supposed to, you know, manage our finances? All of these kind of things, right? And the
Hmm.
older you get, you these little puzzle pieces turn into like a house of cards, a paper castle. And then you meet another person that has developed a paper castle as well,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And what y'all do after like the butterflies are gone, after y'all done slob each other down, maybe y'all slept with each other, whatever, and like the infatuation ends, and now like real, you know, real communication has to set in, and y'all start to argue and all of that kind of stuff. Y'all are yelling across the road, telling each other to come and live in my paper castle. No, you come and live in my paper castle. No, you come live in my paper castle. When the truth is, both of them need to be torn down, and then we
Hmm.
look at the pieces and say, hey, what pieces do we need to build a new structure so we can both live in? Maybe it'll take some from yours, some from mine, or maybe we have to build something absolutely brand new that neither one of us have figured out in order to make this thing work. But oftentimes people want turnkey, fully furnished, fully decorated properties, and that is not true. Like the stuff that we see on rom-coms, the stuff we see on fairy tales, the stuff we see on Instagrams, boo. A reel is only a minute and 30.
Yep.
The day is 24 hours.
Yep.
What you
Of course.
saying?
You're only seeing the highlights.
Right.
Yeah, but again, that's why I don't like I think people will look at certain couples and call them relationship goals because again, you know, they might be like very good looking and
Mm-hmm.
you know, or you know, they appear to have money or they appear to have all the success um and they just appear to be like the ideal of what a
Right.
couple should look like. But again, I'm sure they argue too. I'm sure they have their issues too. So you just really
And
never know what
and
goes
here
on behind closed doors.
and I talk about that. I just talked about this to a group a couple of days ago. So me and my brother coins it the ministry of wounds.
Hmm.
So when we talk about trauma and this we can make this pertinent to relationships. Some wounds aren't for everybody to see and for everybody to recognize. So you won't know that somebody's wounded until you are wounded very specifically in that same way. I ain't gonna lie to you. So I ain't gonna share I ain't gonna share all my family business, but what I will say
Yeah,
is this.
don't. Don't.
I'm no, I'm better than that. Come on, stop. But my grandfather is an old Southern man. Like my grandfather's like, old school foghorn leghorn. This man just he could talk forever. You hear me? And he tell the same story. He country. We tell the same stories over and over. I done heard the same story since I was a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I told my grandfather, me and my wife are going through it, or we're getting a divorce, it
Mm-hmm.
was like a new level got unlocked. I was like, I played this game 100 times. I ain't never seen this board before.
Uh-huh.
I ain't never seen this level. He started sharing stuff with me that he's never shared with me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because I had now reached a point that I was wounded in a similar way, right?
Yep.
It made me look at my grandparents' relationship differently. It
Yep.
made me look at them more holistically, right? Because we tend to idolize, right?
Yep.
We put people in idol brackets. That's why we're like relationship goals. That's why we look at Jay-Z and Beyonce and say relationship goals, or we look at Nelly and Ashanti and say relationship goals, or people be like, oh, she a fool for whatever, whatever. Get it how you live, baby. You don't know the real story, and until you are wounded in a specific way, and until you are in relationship with somebody in a specific way, they're not going to show you their wounds, and they shouldn't. It's not for everybody to know,
Not well,
right?
no. I mean, also, I it's part of the reason why I don't think it's helpful to go from relationship to relationship, because you should be taking time to understand why that situation didn't work, what
Right.
part you played,
Yeah.
and once again, unless the person was, whooping your ass,
Right.
right? Then you know why it didn't work, right? And you definitely
Or
want to get away from
emotionally
that.
abusive, financially abusive,
It's
any of those things. Yeah, unless it's like
right. It's
clearly
toxic.
egregious. Yeah.
So but if it's like not that level of toxicity, then you should still like evaluate, why did this work? I need to take time to understand. Maybe you want to be in a single era, right?
Right. Right.
Or maybe if you know that you desire to be coupled again, you still need to take time before you go back out into the dating world,
Yeah.
because your frame of reference is going to be what you just went through. And if you don't allow enough time in between, so you're going to project whatever you went through, and I'm speaking from my own
Right.
experience, onto whatever new situation
Yeah.
you're in. And or you're going to look at it through that lens, like everything is going to be like, well, so and so did it like this, and so did this, or so did that, and this person doesn't do, and no, like, or if you see,
You're idolizing that last relationship as if
well,
it is the end all be all.
or it could be that they're doing something that you didn't like in the old person, or it's a version. You
Right.
think it's that, and it could be something else, and you're not, and maybe it's because you didn't communicate effectively to the new person, or maybe because you didn't take enough time in between the
And
situation. But I
heal.
feel like but I feel
Yeah.
like we're going off on a tangent, because we're supposed to be talking about whether or
Spinning the
not
block.
yeah, whether or not you can go, whether or not you would consider going back. I think it's, and not
I
specifically you, but just, I think it depends on
yeah.
why you separated initially. If you're more mature, if you've acknowledged what you did wrong in a situation, if that person acknowledged what they did wrong, if you're willing to, you know to better understand one another's needs and expectations, I think anything is possible.
Give me
That's
2 minutes. I gotta run in here,
Yep.
grab this disc, but I got a story. So I'm gonna come back and give me like 2 minutes.
So
All right.
are you leaving? Are you leaving
Nah,
and coming
just
back? Or
stay
okay,
right
okay.
here. I'm gonna
All
give me
right.
two
Well, I'm gonna
minutes.
talk. Okay, Don Henry says you spitting. Is okay. Okay. Snackfit says you are as sick as your darkest secrets. Um. Okay. So yes, I know we aren't really talking about. Oh, now I'm spitting too. Okay. Anyway, I would like to know from y'all. I mean, so Legend is the Elder says Well, okay, so why would you casually spin the block? Like, why not just do it right the first time? Because to me, like I said, if somebody tells me, that they're interested in dating me, right? But then their actions demonstrate otherwise, or they're not really putting in a lot of effort, or generally I'm just not impressed, right? Then I don't want to keep giving you the chance to come back and show me nothing. Like
Right.
some dudes will. I was just responding to Legend is the Elder in the comments. He says casual spinning of the block, yes. Serious spinning, no. So I was saying how like some guys will chase you down, like they're the police, right? Like
Casual spinning up what?
trying to get you, trying to get you, to talk to them or pay them some attention. And I understand men get off on the chase sometimes,
Yeah.
but they'll literally do that to do absolutely nothing. Leave me the hell alone. Like
Well,
you
not
really
not
don't want
nothing.
nothing.
Not
So
nothing.
no, if you didn't show me nothing the first time and it was a casual dating situation, go to hell. Disrespectfully. Anyway, go ahead.
It's not nothing. That is a very, I would say it should be the opposite way around. Serious spinning of the block, yes. Casual spinning of the block, absolutely not. And here's the reason. So you are using this person to satisfy some kind of either physical, emotional, right? Even sometimes mental wound that you have. And so you're going to casually spin the block to make yourself feel better, but yet you are going to transmute your trauma onto them while you still not healed. That's crazy. Like, why would you do it? That is a super villain origin story. Like,
Wait,
why would you do that?
wait, but speaking of a story, you said you had a story to
I
tell.
I did have
Biggie.
a oh you tried I see what you did there. So
So go ahead.
so so this is all right. I'll preface this by saying this is not a happily ever after story, but it's something that taught me a lot about spinning the block.
Yep.
So when I was 18, um, I was involved. Well, I've been writing poetry and performing since I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I always had friends that were kind of older than me. Um, but I remember there was this one beautiful woman, she just lit up the room when she came to the open mic. And I won't mention her name, but I just was enamored. It was like I felt 12 again. And at this point I had come into my own. I had like kind of overcame the nerdiness and the awkwardness, and I stopped being bullied, and I got my pen, I got my swag. She made me feel like that little 12-year-old boy again with a crush,
Oh.
right? And so I remember every month. All right, so I told myself, yo, I did the Andre 3000 speech, say be cool, ice cold.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I was like, yeah, I ain't gonna pay too much attention to her, but at the end of the night, I'll talk to her, get her number. I looked up and she was gone. Oh my God, my heart sank. I was like, where did this woman go? So I badgered my homeboy because my homeboy was a DJ at the open mic. Like I knew all the organizers,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "Yo, what was her name? Who is she?" This and that. And by the way, this is before social media, y'all. This is before Facebook. Uh, I'm not even sure if we had MySpace at this point. We were still on Black Planet and Mi Gente, but
Hey, but
so I
just
couldn't like
not to digress, but why does Black Planet sound like some type of porn shit? Anyway, so go ahead.
Black Planet was awesome. It was
Okay, I
like the
know. I don't want to
prototype of
digress.
anyway.
That's
Anyway,
what I think about when I hear Black Planet. That's what that
I
makes me think.
mean, I
But
don't know
anyway,
who bought the domain now. I ain't been in years, but
I'm not
but
saying that's what it is. That's just what it
right,
sounds
right, right,
like.
right.
Go ahead.
But here's the thing, man. I was every month I was checking what I was looking for in the daytime with a flashlight. I was like, hey, y'all know her? Like, is she coming? Da 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 blah blah blah. Blah. I think it was either like 3 months, 6 months. I don't know. It felt like a year.
Uh-huh.
And she I know she must have known that I was like asking about her.
Yep.
Now I know that she must have known that I was asking about her.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, okay, like what do I do? And so she came back. I was like, oh, all right. This is my chance. I'm not gonna let her go, right?
Yep.
But I still had to play it. I can't be lame.
No.
Come on,
No.
that's not gonna work.
No.
You know, most men talk themselves out of, well, you know. But so you
I'm
got to
not a
keep it
man.
cool.
I don't. Oh, yes, you're right. They do.
Exactly.
They big
Exactly.
facts.
It's
Yes.
yours to
Anyway,
lose, and typically a man's
let there be
conversation will
light. Okay, so go
exactly.
ahead.
That's why I drove over here. All
Uh-huh.
right. So so I'm sitting here and I'm like, all right. I see her coming. I'm like, I'm good. All right, this is what we're gonna do. Blah 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 blah. I was like, I'm all right. I talked to her a little bit after the open mic because we would have a let out. Folks would play music. We would dance. We talk. It was in a restaurant. People would eat, buy drinks, whatever. So I talked to her a little bit, but then I was like, I gotta go or whatever. She was talking to other people. But I was like, I kept an eye on her so that by the end of the night, I'm like, hey, I'm checking out, but I would love to, get your number. Man, I don't know what happened. I must have went to the bathroom or something. I look back up and she gone again. Oh my God. My heart is gone. You hear me? I'm walking out and all I can hear is lonely. I'm so lonely. Right? So I'm like, I don't even want to be here no more. I don't even like poetry no more. I don't like words. I don't like people. This is
So
foolishness.
you were
All
on
of
your
this.
Kendrick Lamar. You hate
Right?
everything.
I'm on my Adele. What you talking about? Like, I'm about to drop the bomb R&B album. So I end up walking out, and as I'm going, because I'm taking the bus, I'm 18. As I'm heading to the bus stop, I hear beep beep, and I turn around, and in my mind, she was smoking a cigarette with an extender, but she wasn't really. But she was in her car, and
Mm-hmm.
she was like, "Hey," and I was like, like the sun just came out, right?
Uh-huh.
So little did I know she pulled a G move. That was pretty gangster. Um, so she matched my smooth and superseded it. But she came up, she's like, "Hey, I mean, where you going?" I was like, "I'm just heading home. Would you like a ride?" "Oh yeah, sure, I'd love a ride." Blah, 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 blah. So we talking, and she's like, "Are you hungry?" "Oh yeah, I could eat. I like food. I eat all the day. I eat every day. So we go to the diner. We have a real good conversation.
Mm-hmm.
She's 25.
Mm-hmm.
She's an engineer working at a pretty big company
Mm-hmm.
in my area.
Mm-hmm.
And so she ain't hurting for money. So we get up, I'm paying, she takes the money and presses it into my hands and has me pay. I was like, oh shit, she training me. Okay. I
Well,
like this game. I like
training you. Wait, go ahead.
I'm 18, baby. I
Okay. All
yeah.
right.
I
All
was
right.
I was untrained. So and then while I'm paying for it, guess what she does? She leans her back on my back.
Her back on
So
your back.
so as I'm paying, she like is kind of like facing. She has her back facing me, facing my back,
Mm-hmm.
and she kind of just leans back and leans her
Okay.
back on my back, and I was like, oh,
Okay.
oh, I ain't never had that move before. Um,
You
so I
want to
just
see
look
what that might be
right,
like? I
right,
know.
right,
Anyway, go ahead.
right, and so but like I said, I was 18 at the time. We talked. We we we
Right. Okay.
we dealt
So.
with each other, but
Yeah.
she was leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Before we met each other, she had already gotten another job. She was leaving in 2 months. And so she said, I didn't want to start anything serious, but you came along. And so with the understanding of that, can you get here? With the understanding of that, like I was like, okay, all right. I remember packing up her apartment, and it was the saddest day in my life. Just, it was the saddest day. And I remember after I packed her up, she was like, come and move with me. And I was like, I can't move with you because, I have this awesome job at Home Depot paying me $8.25 an hour, right? I have so much going for me that I can't leave this. I like this little life that I chose apparently. And I'm glad, to be honest, I'm glad I didn't, because I wasn't mature enough to handle what she was asking me. And we would have grown to resent and hate one another. Or she would have grown to resent and hate me. I probably would have been like just heartbroken and bewildered. So both of us would probably be traumatized. And so she left. Fast forward, now I'm 21. Now I'm 22. I am so I went to college. I was side note.
Wait, no, we
went to
can't
college.
do side notes.
No. I'm just.
We got fast forward.
Context. I went to college at 21. I was a 21-year-old freshman.
Okay. Yeah.
And so maybe I'm 22, 23 at this point. And I'm down south helping my grandparents because they have a farm. My grandfather had eye surgery. I'm helping him. Ended up being my whole winter break. While I'm down south, I get a call from a friend of mine in town. She's like, hey. I was like, hey, Cheryl, what's up? She said, guess who's at my house right now? And then I hear the most beautiful voice come on the phone. This one. And I was like, oh my God. And she's like, where are you? Are you around the corner? Because I live around the corner from my friend. She's like, I was like, I'm in Georgia. But we exchanged numbers and we talked that whole winter break. We come up with a plan. She's gonna, once again, still not driving. So she comes up. So she's like, I'll come to Albany and I'll drive you to Syracuse, like where my college was. I'll drive you back to school. The day came and she ghosted me. I must have called her like 50 times and she didn't answer the phone. And I felt heartbroken. I felt heartbroken. So that's the second spin, right? Fast forward again, I'm in graduate school. I'm on Facebook and I joined like a funny Facebook group and she's in there. And I messaged her. I was like, hey, like, can we talk? And she's like, yeah. And she gave me her number. I called her and I came in with guns blazing, like, why? What the fuck happened to you? Like, why were you? She's like,
hold
we're
on,
gonna start this conversation.
How old were you then?
At this point, I'm in my late 20s, so probably 26, 27, 28. But here's the thing. I don't think I cursed, honestly. I think I was like, but I came in hot. I was like, yo, what happened? Like, da-da-da. She's like, listen, first of all, if you're going to start like this, I can't have this conversation. And so
I was about to say that definitely would have made me be like, that was 7 years ago, click or whatever.
See,
but anyway.
No, because she understood and I understood the significance of that. And I was like, what happened? I was waiting for you. And you didn't even like give me the decency to tell me you weren't coming. You just didn't, you broke my heart, right? And so she said, I could not handle. She said, I could tell from where you were going that you were going to a space, and I don't think I was mature enough to handle where you were going. And I was like, wow, okay. And so we decided to speak again. We rekindled, and that, that the things that I loved about her, right, came back in conversation. The sarcastic quips, the laughter was our aphrodisiac, right? And I'm a sapiosexual, and I'm a demisexual. So sapiosexual, you're attracted to people's minds. Demisexual, you're attracted to people's personality. And she had both in spades, right? So I loved it. I ended up, she was living outside of Chicago. I made a trip to see her. And throughout that week, I realized we spent some time together, but she wasn't the same woman that I met when I was 18 and she was 25, and I wasn't the same man. And I realized that I had been fantasizing about a 25-year-old version of her
Yep.
that no longer existed.
So
And
that
she
didn't work that
probably,
time around.
right, she also probably was fantasizing about an 18-year-old version of me that matured. And
Yeah.
so the things that, you know, wouldn't have, we would have laughed about, she was insecure about. I would make jokes and she got offended. And I'm like, what's going on with this?
Right.
And I remember I made one joke and she's like, you find the deepest things to hurt me by. And I was like, what? And I
I'm
realized
assuming that was based on whatever something that she went through.
exactly
But
it
but
was
but
trauma.
but hold on now, because so tell me the end, because I
Right,
actually wanted to pivot to another topic
right.
before I
So
wrap up.
bottom line is I learned in that space that it's not wrong to spin the block. However, you have to be realistic about who you are, who that person is, and who they are now, who you all are now.
Right.
You could have been the greatest love story 10 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but you grew. That person has grown in some kind of way, right? And you have to assess where you are now. Do I think it's possible? I think when Nelly went across the stage and went to talk to Ashanti, that was a mature grown man Nelly, right?
Yep.
He had his fun. He's been at the top of his game, the top of the career. He's gotten wiser. He's weathered the storm, and he's now in a capacity where he's mature enough to handle the type of love that a mature Ashanti is ready for. And then they made a decision together, conscientiously. Hey, let's work this. Let's walk with one another. Last thing I'll say is this: love is never. We should never fall in love. I have a line in a poem. I said, "Love is still worth living. Love is still worth giving. Love is still worth sharing. So don't fall in love. Walk in love. Grow in love. Laugh in love. Yell in love. Hurt in love. Scream in love. Just be in love. Love should be just as much of a mind decision as a heart decision. When we talk about falling in
Hey, wait,
love, when you
wait,
fall,
wait.
oh,
Could
okay,
spitting. However, I gotta
all
interject.
right, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
So okay, because like I said, I really wanted to pivot to another topic before I wrap this up.
Okay,
Um, so so I wanted to ask what people thought about being friends with an ex. Um, and then similarly their friends, I mean not their friend, their partner, their spouse, or their um or their mate being friends with an ex, a close friend, not not just like a casual acquaintance, but like they still have a close connection if they thought that that was a problem. um I have my own thoughts on that, of course, based
I
on
want to hear your thoughts, but I know you want to hear other people's thoughts.
well,
Wait, so Legend Elder said I wouldn't do it. Okay, okay. Who else?
I I've lived
Fabier says nope. People are
I've lived
responding.
through it. That's not it wasn't my favorite.
Wait,
um
you having a friend or
no,
that person
no,
having a friend?
no, no. Um I have a I can be territorial. I'm admitting that in public, right?
Mm,
But again, I think it's a matter um of there being boundaries in a situation. So I think if
right,
those friends are legitimately, I mean, rather, if those exes are legitimately just friends, and they've really moved on, then I think it individually, right, in their lives. I think that's fine, or it can be. If
right.
an intent to make the new person in the situation feel comfortable with that relationship, then fine.
Yeah.
If it is important to sustain that, because once again, I don't think that because you're not dating somebody anymore, that means that you're sworn enemies now. Um, unless that person did something so egregious to you, you just can't let it go. Then ideally, if they meant something to you, then you're not just like, F you, I don't ever want anything to do with you again. But at the same
Hmm.
time, if there are still lingering feelings, like the type of lingering feelings that make them want to spin the block and still be with the person, right? Then it can create a problem in a new situation. So, but so this is okay. So he said, okay, well, so I'm going back to what you were talking about before. I was trying to see if anyone
Yeah.
had any comments on the new
They
subject.
did. They
I
did.
wouldn't do it. Nope, not happening. Well, do y'all mean that you wouldn't want your partner to have the friend with to be friends with their ex, or you wouldn't be friends with an ex?
There's something that they're not sharing that I think what we should talk about, which is it's different when a man is friends with his ex than when a woman is friends with her ex.
How?
I didn't. It's not better or worse. It's just different. There's different nuances. So men know other men, right? If y'all dated at 15 and broke up at 17 and now y'all 30 something, like that's that and haven't dated again and y'all are friend, like that's a true friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
If y'all had a deep adult relationship and y'all are no longer, especially considering if the woman broke it off. And sometimes it they say y'all say it's mutual, but nah, that Negro didn't want it. That Negro didn't want to end it. Sometimes a man will stick around
Mm-hmm.
because he's hopeful. We call it penis under glass. In,
Yes.
in case of emergency, break glass.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, Chris
There's
Rock.
some men that exactly. There's some men who have never, right, entered into that romantic space that are your friend in hopes that that moment will come. Those type of relationships are dangerous to
Mm-hmm.
any kind of burgeoning relationship, and you'll see it. Be careful of people that automatically cut their eyes at insurance dudes. Exactly, Elder. So be careful of any dude that cuts their eye at any dude that approaches you. There's some that are some, there's some poo putts and you shouldn't mess with them or whatever. But every dude that is trash, I'm hating on every dude.
Yeah,
Nah,
no.
there's something else there, homie.
No, that's
And
obvious. It's
but the same thing
obvious.
with women. It's
Yeah, I agree.
different. The way they navigate it is different, but
How so?
it's so all right. I'll give an example. When I was dating my wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had I had a couple of different I had friends, literally friends, not there was a friend of mine that had always been a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Actually earlier on when we were hanging out, I told her, I was like, "Hey, I just need to let you know, like, I'm not interested in a romantic relationship with you. Like I just want to be friends." And I could tell she got upset about that, but she accepted it, right? We continue to be friends, and that's it. Because I believe also as men, we need to be. Are you doing your makeup,
I'm greasy, so I was just
baby?
I'm listening to you. I'm just blotting the grease off my face. It's
I'm
warm
only
in
joking.
here. I said,
Lord
well,
Jesus.
never mind. Anyway, go
All
ahead.
right. So as men, we have to be conscientious of women's hearts, and it's not just in what you say; it's also in your actions. And so, if you know that that woman wants more, and you're not in a space to give more, you need to like prove that not only in your words but also in your actions. Because some dudes will be like, "Well, I don't want no relationship, but I'll smash her though." Like, no, be responsible with the woman's heart, right? And so I was very responsible with her heart. And I was like, hey, it's just certain things she was doing. Like she was just overly gracious, right? And I was like, no, I don't think that. I think she likes me. And so I brought it up,
Uh-huh.
right?
Uh-huh.
Communication, open communication is key. And I was like, hey, I'm really not interested in pursuing a romantic relationship. Like I'm really just on some friend stuff. And she was upset. I could tell she felt some type of way. But like we I thought we moved through it. And I started dating my girl, who eventually became my wife. Later on, she would tell me that when like I got into a new apartment, so we went shopping. She drove, like we were all three of us are shopping. She said she put stuff in the cart. The woman's taking the stuff out the cart. She said when she got to the apartment, I'm
What?
folding the she folding the towels one way. This woman will come back and refold them. That's not how he
Oh,
likes it.
nah. No, no,
I,
bitch. You
I,
gotta go.
I didn't right. I didn't know that this was happening, but she's like, "Yo, you got to nah. She ain't. She's no good. She's no bueno." And to that, and to be honest, like I didn't know, and I didn't know the stuff she was doing until like
Yeah,
later on. She didn't tell
y'all like
me.
to play. Y'all like to play like y'all see what's going on.
No,
But
no, no. I
okay.
didn't know. She was saying this stuff was happening behind my back, and she didn't tell me until later, like the extent of it.
Uh-huh.
But she did bring it up to me, like, "Hey, I think your friend likes you,
Uh-huh.
and if we're gonna continue a serious relationship, like, you need to handle that. You need to cut that out." And
Hmm.
so eventually,
Hmm.
we moved
And
from.
how did you respond to that? Did you tell her she was
I cut it
crazy?
out. No, no, no. We became acquaintances.
Okay.
Like we stopped being friends because if I'm pursuing something with you and I find it I find you quality enough to pursue something serious, then my
Uh-huh.
friend has to respect that. Even if you feel like it's not the right decision, then pray for me. But if I have made the conscious decision that I'm going to pursue this person, you need to be supportive and not treat that person as an adversary or enemy because that's an extension of me and my decision. And so no, she became an acquaintance. To this day, like I haven't hung out with her since. Not to say I wouldn't like she's still a quality person, but we just that the nature of our relationship was never the same after that.
Yeah, but again, it's because so once again, legend, as the elder was saying, an X is an X for a reason. Yes. So for those who are just joining, because I'm going to wrap up shortly, but the original topic was about spinning the block, and do you think it's possible to spin the block and then, like, have you done it? Do you think it's possible to do it and have a second successful go of the relationship? And I think yes, it depends, right? We Patrick and I have concluded that if the people have evolved, right? If they've
Right.
learned, if they've grown, if they're both willing to acknowledge whatever didn't work the first time and address it and adjust it to try to make it work better the second time. The second time
You
that it
showing
could
your
work,
age
right?
now. You showing our age.
Anyway, but or no, right? Or sometimes you just
Or
want to
no,
leave
right.
them where they stood. But then I pivoted to whether or not, like, you can be friends with an
Exactly,
ex.
Michael. Exactly, Michael. She should cost you your wife at the time, right?
eh,
The girl that girl that I was dating ended up being my wife. You're right. And so,
or
yeah,
yeah, or if you're friends with an ex, um like, do you I guess, how do you navigate that when you're with a new person, and vice versa? Like, are you cool with your partner being friends, close friends with an ex? um
not a serious ex. No. And you communicate that straight. You say, hey, listen, I'm really pursuing something serious with this guy, and I think it's going somewhere. I'm gonna need our relationship to take a step back to really focus on this.
Wait, so Uncle A Double, you said you're about to spin the block? Is that what you mean by that? And if so, do you want to jump on real quick or were you talking about something else? Or are you talking
Right.
about going to watch the game? Yeah, I know. There's a playoff game on tonight. So, um, so yeah, I'm about to wrap up. But with respect to the playoffs, right? Go Knicks. And I know I'm going to be vilified for saying that
The
because
Nets?
I said the Knicks. The Knicks.
Oh, well, yeah. I
I but
mean,
on behalf of my
if
son
they gonna
because
win, I want them to go all the way this year. Okay, they deserve it. You can't tell me
yeah,
they don't deserve it. Just saying.
they do. I know I should be rooting for the Sixers. I honestly don't care that much about basketball either way. But because my son has been a Knicks fan since a baby,
Oh,
um,
since a wee
yes,
babe,
since a wee baby, I
you
know
want him
how
to get a
much it would mean to
championship.
him. Say what?
You
What'd
say
you
you
say?
want him to get a championship sometime in his life. You're like,
Listen, he's also a Giants fan, so he's seen a couple,
okay, okay, okay,
and
okay,
Yankees. So he's seen a couple, but
okay,
the
okay,
Knicks
okay,
though,
okay, okay.
but the Knicks though, it's painful.
The Knicks are
Um,
like South Pole. It's like they
you
always
said they're like
gonna
what?
make it. I said the Knicks are like the sports version of South Pole. It's like they always gonna make it, but it's like really, you got that on? Okay, like this year, that's why everybody's like they can't win because they literally all they at this point it's like you just
Wait,
know the
don't say
Knicks are
nothing
not
bad.
winning.
Don't say nothing bad. Don't
I
say it.
love the Knicks, but their
Don't
owners
say
don't.
it. Don't say
All right,
it.
all right.
I'm already not allowed to root for them anyway, like not in public.
Why?
So, because I was told I was a black
What is
cat.
what is this? What is this? Is this
What?
not public?
Huh?
Is this
Yeah,
not a public
I know.
app?
That's what I'm saying. I'm technically not allowed to root for them in public because I was told I was a
Hilarious.
black cat. Because the last time
What is
they
a
were in the
black cat?
playoffs, like what was that, 10 years ago
Wait, what's
against the Pacers?
a black cat? Like a cougar? What is that?
No, like bad luck, a black cat.
Oh, black cat. Okay. All
Yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah.
cool.
Anyway,
I thought you were talking about cougar. I was like, okay, Black Panther.
no. I mean, yeah.
Not the shoulder shake.
Yes, that too. But anyway, all right. So now that we've totally gone off on a tangent, all right, I'm gonna wrap this shit up, B. So
In
in
conclusion,
conclusion, getting the block can be okay sometimes if as long as the parties have acknowledged their wrongs from the past and they can make it work. And they're willing to put in effort and they can forgive and they can move forward, right?
right, right.
Um, and as far as being friends with exes,
Mm,
once again, it depends. Like old folks pissing,
okay.
right?
Like what? Like
I
what?
said like
Old
old
folks
folks pissing.
pissing?
I guess it all depends. Oh.
Hilarious.
Anyway,
Hilarious.
I'm just over here. I'm a hip hop quotable queen.
There you go. There you go. Hey, listen, everybody, listen. Everybody that's on this line, I'm going to put this out here. I ain't even told Becky about this. We're about to do a relationship episode. So bring your advice, your relationship advice, send it to Becky, your relationship questions, and maybe somewhere down the line we'll do a relationship episode.
Wait,
What you think?
a relationship episode?
Yeah.
Have you seen it on my list? That's like what
Listen,
the
listen,
majority.
listen. All right, so it'll be Ask Becky and EP.
They're
We'll
like,
be
I
your
don't want your
we'll be your love
advice.
doctors.
They they,
Your love
they don't
doctors.
want our advice. Shit.
Just don't sue us for malpractice. That's it. It
Um,
ain't no liability.
wait. So somebody told me. Wait, Kimani Kilkenny
I
says
said, don't
stop
want your
talking
ex to
about
pop up
them.
at your wedding. Sure don't.
Oh
Sure
no,
do
maybe he was talking
not.
about you. Stop talking about them. All right.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
He said, wait, Michael said the Wayne and Whitney different world wedding. Listen, I'm sorry. I love the Wayne. He would have got them paws put on. You know how much I just spent on this wedding? Oh, nah.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
Anyway,
Anyway, but go ahead.
yeah. Okay. so John Henry says, leave y'all advice. We probably don't want to take it. Look, I don't give relationship advice. I'm saying I just
I
be
do.
sharing my opinions,
So
and I'm
you'll
no
ask the
expert.
questions and I'll answer them. How about that? We'll
I
do that.
well, he is a clinician, a behavioral health clinician, right? I'm I don't know if I'm stating your title correctly, but anyway,
I'm a
so
licensed
he
social worker.
yes,
I'm a licensed social worker.
so he has qualifications and certifications. I just have opinions.
I got opinions too.
No, I'm saying,
But
but mine are just based on, my opinions. Like, and just like other people. So I'm not professing to be an expert on relationships. I just
right,
be talking about them and I want to hear what y'all think. That's it. Just
right.
opinions. That's it.
So
Anywho.
send them in, and we'll talk about them on one of these future episodes.
Yes, perhaps. We'll discuss.
We'll
Anyway.
discuss.
So, thank you once again for joining me and sharing your story. And you never know, maybe she'll reappear in the future. And
That
it,
door's closed, baby.
okay, all right, I'm not mad at
No,
that
the
either.
block has been spun. It's okay.
The block is hot. Block is hot. Right? Okay. Anyway. All right. So, ciao. Good night.
Peace. Night.
Um. Oh, that's EP, the Hope Dealer. So, y'all go follow him as well. And I hope he's not upset that I said his government on here. But yeah, thanks for hanging with me this evening, and go next. Actually, I won't see y'all next Wednesday because you know what's happening next Wednesday. My son is graduating from college. So congratulations to my niece. Well, that'll be one of his graduations. But anyway, so listen, power to the people and the protesting and all, but they better not block his graduation or it's gonna be consequences and repercussions. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, good night, y'all. I'll see y'all the week after next week. So, now I'm out. These two fingers.